welcome back to Full Count Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Blaine Arsenal. Got another coach's interview for you. This is episode 13. We sitting down with the defending Division One non-select state champion Sam Houston head baseball coach Chad Hebert. How's it going, Coach?
Man, it's going good, Blaine. I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Oh yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Let's get to it. Talk about your background, like where you're from, your playing days, and when you started coaching.
I grew up in Moss Bluff, man. Played at Sam Houston. Played a little college baseball at William Penn University, and then moved back. Got my first coaching job at Zachary High School with uh, with Jesse Cassardi. Hired me. My first official job in 2006. I was a student assistant at Bar, but my first official job was at Zachary High with Jesse Cassard. From Zachary, I went on to be the head coach of St. Louis for 2 years, and then an assistant at Sulphur for one, and I've been at Sam Houston ever since.
So how was the transition from playing to coaching when you was done hanging them up?
Um, it wasn't too bad. I got to learn a whole lot at Bar from Glenn. Jesse was actually on the staff at that time, and so I still had a player's mentality, but it kind of molded me as a coach because I wanted to be the type of coach that I like to play for as a player. You know what I mean? And I'm high strung, and my players kind of feed off of it from time to time. So it's a good fit for me.
Yeah, and like you mentioned a little bit. So how was it coaching under Coach Zucchini?
I'll tell you, man. He's a program builder, and that's the one thing that I learned, man. He's not only is he a great baseball coach, but he's a master marketer. Raises tons of money. Like he's put together an unbelievable facility over there, and so you just kind of got to take almost his blueprint is what I did, and been trying to build facilities and do all those things while I've been at Sam Houston, and it's been fun, man. Building a program is something that was a dream of mine almost, but it is just it to be around him and to see him how hard he worked at the fundraising side of it and the facility side of it. That molded a lot of what I do today. And
Any early struggles as you went away from being assistant to a head job that you learn from?
Yeah, like when you're a head guy, you got to trust your assistants because there's so many hats that the head coach wears. Fundraising, you still got to teach class, field maintenance, all those types of things. So just being able to watch him how he delegated and he really didn't bother you a whole lot. Like he gave you a duty, he just expected you to do it. And so that's kind of how I am. I give my assistant coaches responsibilities, this section of the field or whatever the case may be, and let them take ownership of it. And I allow my assistant coaches to have a lot of leeway in the things that they tell me. One thing that I do at the end of every year with my staff is I meet with each coach individually. And I ask them, hey, I need you to tell me three things that I did really good, and I need you to tell me three things that I did really bad, and where do you think we can get better at each year? And so I always listen to those guys, take notes, and try to make it better each year. I'm not above letting people criticize me.
As a head coach, you really don't want yes men as your assistants. You really want guys that are going to tell you what it is, and you value that a lot.
Yeah, I do. I feel like yes men are they just have a job. They're not really bought into the program. I want guys that are bought into the program and bought into the mission that we're trying to accomplish. Yeah, it's great to win state championships and win games and all that, but I'm really about the mentor side of it is a big part for me. We lead Bible study and those things. So that's something that is a big part to me is to try to mentor these young men. That's a big part of our program, but I want guys that are bought into that type of stuff.
Yeah. Just take it back to your playing days. So, what position were you at Moss Bluff going into college?
I was a center fielder pretty much my whole life in high school and in college. So played in the outfield, switch hitter, those types of deals.
Okay. Did you get to the pro level at any level?
No, man, I wasn't a good enough hitter to get past college. That's just point blank, you know.
I
So
got you.
it stopped there for me.
I got you. Uh, like I said at the beginning, y'all was the kings of the Division One non-select. How was last year, like the ups and downs going into the playoffs?
Last year it took us a little while to find ourselves. We lost some games early in the year that I felt like we shouldn't have, and that group just really figured it out along the ways. That was the first time in the 9 years that I've been there that we had lost back to back games twice in a season, and that was the first time for that, and so they took their bumps and their bruises, but that group was real close knit, had a very good connection, and they figured out how to just play for each other towards the end of it, and nobody cared who got the credit. People were shuffled in and out of the lineup, and they became each other's biggest fans, and that was just a testament to them. When we got to the playoffs, we got hot. I mean, winning as an 11 seed, I thought we were better than 11 seeds, but we had lost some games that we shouldn't have during the year, so we were the 11 seed by our own doing, but they figured it out when we got there, and we got hot at the right time.
I'm glad you said that because we was talking, me and Blaze and other coaches, when we seen the rankings. We said don't sleep on Sam. They're not a traditional 11 seed. They're way better than 11.
Yeah, I thought we were too, but we dropped some games that we shouldn't have, and when that happens, you know how the PowerPoints is. You play that little math, and it'll bounce you around a little bit, and for us, it cost us, and but when you can make excuses or you can just get after it, and so we chose to get after it.
So after y'all did win the title, how long did you give you guys a break before you ramped up for the 26th season?
Phew, man, I'll be honest with you, we had tryouts the following Monday, and started going from there. I think we had a summer ball tournament the very next weekend. We were rolling, man. Like that 5 weeks is a grind, in
Yeah,
the playoffs.
yeah. So what does the traditional summer program look like in Sam Houston?
So I don't force anybody to play for us, but if you're elite enough to go play on one of the big travel teams, I'll let you go get your reps. And then everybody that maybe wasn't a starter, that was a JV guy, that doesn't have some big time travel ball team to play on, we play all our games in pretty much in the little 2D sports series that comes to Lake Charles. And we play 20, 30 games in that little deal at Sam Houston. So we don't have to leave Lake Charles and get plenty of reps. But I like for our guys to lift a lot in the summer. So when we play at home like we do with those guys, it gets them in the weight room a ton in the summer.
And going into the fall, when was the cutoff date of the summer going into the fall?
So at the end of July, pretty much, unless you get invited to some of the big events like the Futures Games or whatever, we shut everybody down at the end of July. And from August all the way until October 14th, we don't pick up a baseball. We just lift weights. When October 14th comes, we start our throwing program. We start going to the field, doing a little bit of individual work here and there. And from there, we start, team practice and those types of deals, the little, as much as we can do type of deal.
Okay. How often are you still in the weight room come fall and in the spring?
So in the fall, I'll just tell you our schedule. Monday we speed train before we lift, and we lift on Monday. Tuesday is just lift. Wednesday is just speed. Thursday is just lift, and Friday is just lift, and Saturday is speed.
Okay. So
That's
you're
how we do
getting
it in the
everything.
fall.
Okay.
Yep. And
Um, going into 2026, I see that y'all playing this big national tournament in Lake Charles. How was that mindset when scheduling your season this year?
I pretty much I like to play good baseball, man. So we want to play the best teams that we can. We got Mandeville coming in this year. They're a really good team. They took 2 out of 3 from us last year. And so when they asked us to play in a national tournament against some of these schools, we were all into it. Like I think it's good for our kids. You take some bumps and bruises, but when you play against good competition, it gets you ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I know you got a lot of kids, but any kids to look out for in the 26 season?
Yeah, man, we're young, but we're talented. We got Owen Galley and Britton Gardner back. They threw games 1 and 3 of the state championship against Live Oak, but two guys to really watch out for are Block Bressington and Grant Oslet. Block's a big right-handed pitcher for us. I think he's going to have a breakout year. He's got really good stuff. He's been up to 92 at times this fall. And he's just a really good athlete. He'll play some outfield and hit for us. And then Grant's going to slide over from third behind the plate, and Grant can really swing it. He started last year as a freshman, majority of the year, and he came up really big in the state tournament. And kind of a sleeper is Riggins Porsche, man. Nobody didn't play a lot of varsity last year, but has really swung it well this fall. So has always had the talent. Left-handed hitter, and it's kind of really starting to come together for him right now. And he's looked really well in our scrimmages and in our fall winter squads.
I knew when we played y'all last year. I think you threw a freshman or a sophomore, Kaiser or whatever. I think his name is.
Yeah, that little rat will be back, man. He's kind of the heartbeat of the team. He's that kid that you hate to play against, but you love to play with. You know, he competes hard as anybody I've ever coached, and gets the most out of all 5'6" of him. He'll start somewhere on the infield, whether it be third or short, and then we'll be counting on him for some big innings again. You know, because he closed in the state championship game as well.
And he was a sophomore last year.
He was a freshman.
Oh, he was a freshman. Wow, big time moments for a freshman. He got a long career ahead of
Yeah, he's gonna be
him.
around for a while.
Yeah, Coach, tell me some of the key differences the game has evolved from when you played to now.
Well, the player is just so much more advanced than when we played, man. Like they know so much more baseball when they get to you. They've played so many more games. Um, Now it's with travel ball. Like I tell people, there's a lot of people that dislike travel ball. I'm not anti travel ball. I say it like this: travel ball is kind of like Walmart. Um, if you don't want the Twinkie, don't buy it. If you don't want to play, don't play. You know, they're going to have a tournament every weekend. It's just the adult's choice to play in it or not. So I think from that side of things, you just got to look at it. It's there, and you got to use it for what it's worth. I think there's some people out there trying to do it right, and I think there's some people out there that just play too much. So
Yeah,
there's both sides of the fence. But people say travel ball, but I don't really think it's the industry's fault. I think it's overzealous people trying to do too much with children. Versus just practice and play. Like, I mean, you can sign up once, twice a month if you feel like it, but that's not what they do. They sign up every weekend and they only practice twice a week.
yeah,
That's where the downfall is. And I get it, man. Like I think sometimes we put a little too much pressure on kids to be somebody they're not as adults, and put a lot of pressure on them to develop themselves as a baseball player before we develop them as a young man. And that's a tough sell for some of these kids to try to get through it. But when they get to high school, you're not having to teach them how to take a regular lead. You're not having to tell them what a secondary is. Like, so the basics have been taught over and over and over again by a lot of these people coaching travel ball, and they do a pretty good job. I just there's no way to perfect it. I really like what 2D Sports has done. My oldest son's on the UL. My younger son's at the high school now, but they had the select series when he was 14, and we pretty much played the same couple of teams in Lafayette over and over again. It was like a league, and then the North Louisiana, the east side of the state came in for like the at the end of the year tournament thing. We had like a little championship, which I thought was cool because a lot of parents are like, well, I don't want to play the same teams over and over again. Well, that's not how actual baseball is built, right? Like I like to
yeah,
play the same teams over again because you start to compete against those same players. You get a little competition, almost get a little hate, build some rivalries, because that's what makes high school and college baseball great is the Sam Houston Barb game, the Sam Houston Software game. We play them every year. You play them same teams over and over. And in college, it's LSU in Florida, it's LSU in Vanderbilt. Those rivalry games make kids learn to compete, and that's what coaches complain about the most is kids don't know how to compete. Well, if you put them in a rivalry situation, like we played, my son played on the Prospects, and we played the Twin City Bombers 3 or 4 times, and they got the best of us. We got the best of them. But when it came down to it, those kids knew each other. They were competing hard against each other, and it was fun to watch at the travel baseball level. So
yeah.
I really think 2D does a good job of cultivating that kind of competitive atmosphere.
Oh yeah, Tootie does tremendous work week in and week out. But I wanted you said something like parents is basically they living through their kids. These pop up teams that they want to play travel ball, but they don't know anything about the ins and outs of baseball, stuff like that.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to stop that. Even at the rec level, when I was coming up and you were coming up, it was
Uh-huh.
dads having to go out there and volunteer your time. Now, the tug and pull, I guess, with travel ball is there's just an unlimited amount of teams. When you had your rec league, you only had about 8 to 10 teams in it, maybe, for the rec league that you played in. Now
Mhm.
anybody can start a team, so it just pulls a lot of kids in a lot of different directions when they think they can go get more playing time or things like that, on certain things. So there's no perfect system, and that's one of the flaws in it. But how do you get past that? I don't know. I don't have an answer.
I don't know either. Are you coaching in the travel world now?
No, I'm done with all that, man. My son's in high school, so that's I get some free Sundays now because we only high school plays on Saturday, so I'll get to enjoy a few Sundays of my life back, which will be good. My little girl, she's not a softball player, so hopefully we can figure out something. Maybe cheer on Friday nights, and I can have Saturday and Sunday off eventually.
What are a few things you enjoy about high school baseball?
Man, I enjoy just the relationships with the kids, getting to know those parents. Like I enjoy just the relationships. Like it's a different thing, and I really like the fact that it's like you have to build a system in high school. It's not like we're college coaches where we can recruit players that fit our system. We try to keep it simple to where we can keep everything rolling and be successful by building a system that kind of caters to what the kids are good at. But it's really the relationships for me. I have so many kids throughout the years that come back to practice that I still talk to that and we've worked through the fall with Bible studies and things like that, and kids start to open up and talk to you, and you get to see a whole other side of them, which I think is for me is probably the most pleasing part of my job is to see them grow and to be able to open up and communicate some of their feelings and issues in life, and that's what we're there for.
Yeah. How do you go about with this year's team telling them last year's over with? Yeah, we won the state title, but how you keep them focused on the goal this year?
Well, like I tell people, when you're building a program, you always have to have a standard, and our standard is the state championship. That's what we tell ourselves, and that's what we try to play for. We try not to play to the circumstances. We just try to play to the standard, and like I tell every team every year, you're the team of 26. There'll never be another team of 26, so you got to make your own mark. That team of 25 won state, that's over. We move on. Team of 26 has got to have their own routines and their own things. And I'm very big on giving teams, you know, ownership and letting the players have a lot of say in the drills that we do and the things that we do and build their own routines. Like this year's team, for 10 years at Sam Houston, we've done stretch lines. This year, they want to stretch on their own, kind of like the big leagues. And so we played with it a little bit. They showed me they were mature enough to do it. So I gave them that little piece of it. So I think when you give teams ownership into the program, it really starts to help you out and lets them grow.
What's one lesson baseball teaches your players once they leave your program?
Man, the biggest thing that I try to tell these guys is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And just to help them build habits that are going to be healthy in life. And I think for me, it's really helping them learn how to communicate with adults, to communicate with authority, because when you get out into the real world, you have to communicate with your boss, you have to communicate with your wife. So that's a big thing for me is helping them learn to be good communicators, as to where when I was a child and a young man, I was a terrible communicator. So helping them learn how to communicate and get their feelings out and be able to communicate back and forth with adults without the fear of any kind of authority, I guess, is that. And I'd like to think the guys that come out of our program understand how to work within a unit and have some solid work ethic.
What's some bonding moments you get you guys to get, like grow from camaraderie and stuff like that throughout the year?
We do Bible study. We meet a lot as a team before practice
Mhm.
and talk about different issues and different things that go on in life. So we have that camaraderie there because they open up to each other and they're able to express their feelings. And like I tell them, man, disagreement is good in life, and having pushback is good, and learning how to communicate that in a healthy way is there. But we do a lot of stuff in the fall, competition wise, in the weight room or mental type competitions, or just some fun competitions like a 3-point shootout and divide up into teams and stuff like that. So we try to do that. Like we'll do a lot of team dinners. Like if they have a good day at practice, we'll call Maplewood Burger. We'll go sit down and tear it up as a group.
Mhm.
So just things like that, man. Trying to get them to be around each other in some good situations. And our kids have, in the past have always supported the other sports at our school very heavily. So that's a time and place where the baseball team, they're really big into the basketball team, and they go support. And football, it's always the baseball team there dressed up and doing their thing. So they have a sense of it, and it's good to see that. And that, to me, that's what wins. Culture and camaraderie and connectivity is what wins in the long run.
Uh, so you've been around the game a while. Earlier you mentioned your son Griffin is at UL. In your opinion, what's the biggest mistake a high school kid makes when they try to get noticed by a college coach?
Well, the number one thing I tell our kids is it's an old man's game now, and that's why we have put, from my time at Sam Houston, we've put so much time into our athletes' nutrition and into the weight room. You raise money and you have to learn how to invest it right. Well, we bought a freezer and an ice box, and we keep it stocked with fruit, Uncrustables, protein shakes. We bring it, the Booster Club fills it up every week. So we try to give them an Uncrustable and a banana before practice, something to eat after practice, before we lift. We try to keep their bodies fueled and try to get those guys as big and physical as we can, moving forward. Like for our off season, I'll tell you like this: we pay. Like I do the weights myself, but we pay a speed coach. I guess you could call him a speed coach, a movement coach, to come in and do our speed training. His name's Jeff C. He was a strength coach for the Dodgers and the Astros. He handles all our speed. So we go through phases where it's just lift, speed and lift, and then as we get to moving around more on the field, the speed days cut down, and then we bring in a lady that does Pilates 2-3 days a week before and after practice, and we stretch those guys out after we've torn the body down to try to recover. I preach recovery to our guys, ice baths, cryotherapy, those types of things. So we invest a lot in our program into their nutrition, into their recovery, especially as much as we practice and lift weights, because we're still, right now in January, we're still in the gym 3 days a week.
Coach, if you had the technology these kids had now, would that help your game when you played?
I don't know, man. I don't think my swing was good enough. No, but there's a lot to be said about all the technology and stuff out there, and exit velocities and launch angles, and there's a lot of merit to it. But I also think that you can't measure, a kid's heart and the grind that some of those kids have. I think there's like Kyle DeBarge is one that just rings a bell to me all the time when I think about the guy that was undersized but just went to UL, had an amazing career,
Hmm.
was a first round draft pick. If you took him off of all the metrics coming out of high school, he wouldn't have been some, big time recruit. But that guy got to college and he had so much compete and so much throwdown. He ends up being a first round draft pick just because his will to win was just greater than anybody that I've ever coached against up until that point.
Yeah, and people probably don't realize he was a catcher his senior year, and he went to UL to play shortstop.
Well, he was the best third baseman in the state for 3 years, and then when Barb didn't have a catcher, he was the best catcher in the state his senior year. So that's an attribute to how good that guy was as a baseball player.
Coach, what's a moment in your coaching career that still sticks out to you right to this day?
Man, I'm going to be honest with you. It was last year. We had did Bible study every morning before the state championship, and the moments that stick out to me was Owen Galley's interview when he quoted the Bible. He gave all the credit to his friends and family, and to see all those interviews like that. And then it was the night. I'll be honest with you, man, it was crazy. We win game two. It's like at midnight. I screenshotted this text. I get a text from Colton Donaldson. He was a sophomore at the time. And he said, Coach, what can I do to be ready for the moment? And I just texted him back that night, you are. And then we go out. Um, Britain starts game three. It's phenomenal through I think through 5 innings. Britain's phenomenal. We go to Kaiser. He gets us through. And then Kaiser, as you know, gets 2 outs and then 3 hit by pitches, and we bring in Colton, who had texted me the night before at midnight. Is he going to be ready? And he throws to get the last out of the state championship. That's just like a kid knowing, like, hey, like just I got to be ready no matter what it is. And here you are, you're sending me a text at midnight, almost foreshadowing it, and then you throw the last out of the state championship. Man, that'll be burned in my head forever.
Awesome. Well, I like to ask this question to all the coaches that I got on. Well, what's your approach to a kid that's doing everything right off the field but is struggling on the field?
You know, I'm going to talk about a kid in our program, and his name's A.K. Batterson. And he's not the most talented kid, but man, he is the heartbeat of this team. We take a test every year with each player, and they're allowed to divulge all information with no repercussions. Like I have the coach's names, and you get to write a paragraph about what you feel about this coach and your relationship with this coach, and so on and so forth. And they do all this, and there's a question on there that says, "Who has impacted you the most as a player?" And we go over this question always, and he came up about, I don't know, 12 to 14 times during this test. And AK's never played a varsity inning, but he's out there every day. He grinds, he catches bullpens, he does everything. And so I'm passing out varsity jerseys, and I don't give him one, and intentionally I don't give him one. And then as I'm about to, I call his name. I say, "There's one more jersey I'm going to give out to you." And there was, a few. He wanted a certain number, and it just so happened to be left on the rack. And so my point to the whole thing is like, this guy has impacted all of you in a positive way. No matter if he gets the number he wants or he doesn't, it doesn't change the person that he is. The man inside the jersey is what matters, is not the number on the back of it. So I always harp on our kids that you can bring value if it's not on the field, in the dugout, getting signed. So I always tell people there's so much value in life, you know, even if you're not a starter. And how do you bring value to the team? And we harp on that. And so a lot of the heroes and the heartbeat of our team are guys that aren't starters, that have learned to grind and just be positive with their teammates and be there. And when kids go through struggles, man, they don't take it very well nowadays, and you really got to learn to help them and get their confidence. We do a lot of confidence training on how to beat negative thoughts, how to talk positively to yourself, and things like that. I've showed them clips of Aaron Donald and George Kittle. I think that football is a sport that a lot of baseball coaches and a lot of baseball players can learn from if you really watch it. And so we're big on trying to tell our guys to have positive self-talk, talk yourself through the issues. Like I tell them, the problem isn't the problem. The problem is the way you're thinking about the problem. So we do a lot of mental training on that side of things to get those guys through those ruts. But I always tell them the person that you are far outweighs the baseball player that you are.
Switch it up a little bit. What kind of music or things you do to get mentally focused for a baseball game? Because people think in high school it's just players, but coaches got to get ready for the game as well.
Man, I gotta get that. I gotta get that C4 energy drink in. That bus ride to New Iberia is rough, man. I gotta get that drink down. No, man, I'm usually pretty calm. I get the lineups and everything done that day. I read a lot, so I'll usually read some sort of leadership book, try to get me in that frame of mind, and I'll just kind of take it easy. I don't really get into music too much and headbanging and get myself pumped up. I try because I'm already, me. You've coached against me enough to know I'm high strung as it is. I don't need
Yeah.
any. I don't need any
Yes,
extra
sir.
motivation to get
Yes,
me
sir.
out there.
Yes, sir. Uh, could you introduce your coaching staff? Who you got? What you coming this year?
Yeah, I got Matt Keller. He handles the outfielders. He's been with me for 5 years now. Matt's one of my longest tenure guy. The other one is Coach Mike Abshire. He actually was the head coach at Sam Houston in the '90s, and just a mentor of mine. He's been around for a long time. Bart Anderson handles my JV. Caden Walker is just an unbelievable young coach. He played for me there. He helps me with the JV, and he runs a lot of defensive stuff at practice. I have Cameron Chris that played at Sam Houston, played at Live Oak. He played at Galveston Community College. He handles our catchers, and then I brought back Coach Robbie Norris to handle all my pitching for me.
Okay, man,
Yeah,
you got a loaded staff right there.
it's pretty good staff, man, and they're bought into the program, and that's what makes it work, man. When people are bought into what we got, it's nice to be that way.
Yeah. Coach, like I was telling you earlier, I appreciate you reaching out to me about doing this. I was kind of nervous, though. Like I told you, I wasn't ready for it. Like
Oh no,
the
man.
upper echelon coaches in the state just yet, but this was fun.
It's all good, man. I enjoy coaching against you and Blaze, and y'all do a phenomenal job over there, man. And I see you on here talking all the time. I'm like, just gonna reach out to him and see if he wants to talk a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Um, Before I let you go, any uh any advice you can give young coaches that's trying to get into the game?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna take the words out of Coach Brad Bass's mouth, and I will say this: if you haven't read his book, Climbing Mount Conviction, you need to. It's a great read for young coaches. We live in a different world nowadays. You can be demanding without being demeaning. A lot of kids can't handle that hardcore coaching anymore, and you got to learn to build that relationship and really massage your relationship with them so they have that respect, confidence, and trust in you. And if you get a chance to read that book, it is amazing, and it'll give you a true sense of how that can be accomplished and through storytelling. And man, Coach Bass is a guy you need to have on here. Great friend of mine, a mentor of mine, honestly, because I use a lot of stuff from his book and then just conversations that he and I have had throughout the years. And when it comes to baseball, man, and as a young coach, I would just try to be more of a mentor. And once you have that relationship with them, they'll run through a wall for you.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Like I said, Coach, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your program and how y'all doing everything the right way. And we just strive to have a program like y'all.
Man, y'all will. Y'all do a great job, man. I appreciate you, Blaine.
Yes, sir. Any last words before I let you go?
No, man, I appreciate your time, buddy.
All right, thanks. And for y'all tuning in, thank y'all for tuning in. We sat down with Sammy's head coach, Big Bear. Give us a like or book, share, things like that. Thanks.